Brady. This is going to be exciting.
And the Geico restarts up to go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Welcome back to the Goat Locker Racing Lincoln Tech Foundation Series. We got a brand new car for you. Already gone through the ARCA car and the trucks in the first half. Took a week break, but now we're back. My name is Jacob Linke. Skylar Daly's in the production booth, and my co-commentator tonight is for Corinne Smith. Well, like I said, we are in the O'Reilly car tonight after going through the ARCA and the trucks for 2 races each in the first half of the season, starting off this section with Michigan International Speedway.
Thanks for having me alongside, Jake. Yeah, Brooklyn, Michigan, the home of Michigan International Speedway. 2 miles, different progressive bankings. This track has everything, and while the O'Reilly Series produces some of the best racing in NASCAR, this is going to deliver here tonight for us as well.
It is my personal favorite track, and it is the only track of its kind left on the schedule. We got 80 laps tonight. Pit road speed is going to be 45 miles an hour, 3 tire sets in the pits with 1 on the cars, 2 green-white checkers as standard for Goat Locker. The iRacing Fix setup with 100% fuel. And we are just about finished with our qualifying tonight. The Lincoln Tech, we'll go through the rest of the schedule here. Kansas and Las Vegas and the trucks are the 2 weeks before our break. Auto Club in Kentucky open the season. Michigan tonight, and Watkins Glen next week in the O'Reilly car before we take on the Cup car.
We are in the most pivotal part of the season right now. Michigan and Watkins Glen. I cannot think of any 2 different tracks from the rest of these tracks that you would see, the 1.5 that you get everywhere else you go. A difficult car and difficult tracks. Multiple grooves tonight. We're going to see it. We're going to set up the championship run tonight and next week. And if you don't perform here, you're out.
And that's what this is all about. Performance, either getting a little better in the cars all around the different disciplines, or just honing your craft. And your Lincoln, or your Jam Printing and Promotions pole winner is going to be the 11 of Dylan Simmons, a recent newcomer into Goat Locker. Jake Ham's going to be rolling off outside pole in second. Charles Abert in the 7 comes home in third for the starting grid. Steve Barnett rolling off fourth. Jamie Libke in the 16 rolls off fifth, with Alan Smith in the double aught rolling off P6. Chris Bargetzi in the 41 rolling off 7th. Nate Cotilla in 8th. 9th is going to be the 713 of Reno Connor, with Gary Duff in the STV machine rolling off P10. Daniel Parks in the 71, 11th, and the Marine machine of Chuck Feltz rolling off P12.
Row 7 is going to have Brock Price and Josh Unger in a Camaro and a Mustang. Row 8 is going to have Mark Barcelos and DJ Patterson. Row 9 is going to have John Herman and Nick Trussell in the 022. Row 10 is going to have Sean Lobos put down a 40.379 with Kevin Price to his outside. In row 11, we've got Levi McCarty. Don't expect him to stay back there for long. Jason Kristen in the 0-2 to his outside. Row 12 is going to have Daniel Cunningham in the 88. And in another Chevy Camaro outside of him is going to be the 911 of Bill Molfeld. Matt Wiebers and Darren Price make up row 13. And in row 14, all by himself, Hayden Moore.
That is a 27-car field here tonight. Like was mentioned, this car and this track, it's going to be a good combination. They didn't run it this year. They had the trucks and the ARCA with the Cup cars the weekend that I went. So it'll be interesting to see a race play out.
Absolutely, as you see the field pull off of pit road for our single pace lap. Well, we got about 80 laps here, so you're looking at pretty much just splitting this right in half with 40. It'll be interesting to see what the strategy calls will be and how any sort of caution is going to change those. If I'm towards the back and if I'm basically 15th on back and we have an early caution, I am coming down and I am getting a full tank of gas every time until I am full and good to go for the rest of the race.
Let's say if we have a caution around lap 20, I'm also going down for tires, if anything. Everybody lined up 2 by 2. Dylan Simmons, like I mentioned, he's a recent newcomer to Goat Locker. He's one of our, he's one of the Coast Guard guys, isn't he?
Yep, he put up a great finish last night in the Goat Locker Racing Warrior Series. If you have not watched that on a Wednesday night, you are missing out. He put up a 3rd place finish. And he didn't have anything for our top 2, but man, he was the class of the rest of the field there. As we're coming out of turn 4, the pace car is going to duck on off and take it away, Jacob.
Everybody lined up 2 by 2, coming to the restart zone this time, and we are rolling. Green flag in Brooklyn. Oh no! Dylan Simmons off the nose of Jake Ham tried to come down or go up in front, and we have our first yellow of the night. The single car of Dylan Simmons from the front all the way to the back.
Let's take a look on the V-Speed instant replay. You can see they're side by side. I think maybe just a little bit of air kind of pulled him in and just caught the quarter panel. Doesn't look like any damage, but those tires, they're gone.
I would think that he's going to want to try and run it back a little bit further before trying to pick it up. And Jake Ham, we're on board with him right now. We watched the 11. Yep, they just got sucked together once the 11 came up a little bit, and there was not much the 11 could do.
So Jake Ham's going to come around and lead lap 1 as the field picks up the pace car on the backstretch. We'll have to see what the play is here for Simmons. Is he just going to sit in the back? Is he going to get fuel? Is he going to get tires? 3 sets. Might want to save a set for a late restart, but I'd hate using one on lap 2.
Yep, everybody should try and just hold what they got right now. I wouldn't think the 11 is going to pull it down for a fresh set of tires, even though he might have flat spotted him a little bit. He had a great save there, just keeping it down on the infield or on the apron. Didn't get any of the grass. So he has minimized the damage in that, but he is going to have a tall order ahead of him to try and get back up there.
No takers on pit road just yet. Looks like everybody's just going to rack and stack and call it good here. The no takers, surprisingly, but unfortunately for Dylan Simmons, he's down 25 spots from where he started just 2 laps ago.
And currently, your biggest mover is tied between the 52 of Matt Wiebers and the 118 of Levi McCarty. Like you mentioned at the beginning, both of those drivers up 6 spots, and they're going to want to try and get to the front before we start having pit stops.
Yeah, I talked to some of these drivers. They thought that these tires would only be good for about 5 or 6 laps of green flag. So obviously nobody or everybody's confident in what they got right now, even Dylan Simmons. So maybe he's hoping that the temperatures didn't get too high and he'll be okay. But you know how these tire models change from season to season. We'll have to see how it affects his car in the long run.
Yep, and that long run is what's going to show what we're going to see. Everybody trying to experiment a little bit with the lines that you run here. The one thing that I always tell anybody that's trying to run Michigan, it's not Auto Club. And I say the exact opposite when everybody tries to run Auto Club. There are people that try and run one like the other. You can't do that because they're the same size and they're the same shape, but they're fundamentally different tracks. Like, you can't run the outside here like you could at Auto Club. You have to be able to modulate that throttle to get a good exit out of 3 and onto that front stretch. And the draft is going to play a big help when we get into the latter stages here too.
Absolutely right, Jake. As we do come to 1 to go here, we're going to get double file and get ready for this restart. Not the exact same shape as Auto Club, but just it runs different. You can't just rip the top, especially after you get a few laps on those tires. You're not ripping the top like you would at an Auto Club. You can get down low on the track and make it work. Sometimes if you want to make a pass and get a run going into turn 3, you might run it a little high and try to get that corner exit like you're talking about. But we'll have to see if these guys can find some good lines here. I talked to some of these guys during practice, and they weren't really feeling the lines. Some lines were better on certain laps, and sometimes they weren't. So as the field heads down the back straightaway, getting ready to take the green flag, we'll have to see what happens here after the restart.
Yep, the exit of turn 2 is especially treacherous here if you're trying to push the envelope and keep in the throttle on exit. And another thing of note, Jake Ham has opted for the outside line on this restart, which is going to give him a lot of momentum into 1 and out of 2.
Well, he's going to have the queen of the 2-mile track, Jamie Libke, right behind him. Jamie, usually a pretty good pusher, can get aggressive going into those turns, but we'll have to see what she has in store for Jake. Hopefully a good pairing as they get down into turn 1.
Yep. Everybody rounding through turn 4. Pace car is off, still lined up 2 by 2. We are going to take lap 5 once we go back green as we enter into the restart zone. And Ham takes off immediately back under green at Michigan. Everybody staying in line until we hit the stripe.
Had a great jump for Jake Ham, out about 4 car lengths on Jamie Libke. The car right behind him. Steve Barnett going to file in, but now going to take it to the low side, right at the bumper. Not going to make it work in 2.
Libke holding it up top, trying to generate a run onto the backstretch here, but Ham was able to get a good run, keep it ahead of Barnett, now trying to break the draft. Everybody lining up single file behind into turn 3 as we shape ourselves up.
Barnett's got the run. He's going to go out a little bit on the high side. Not going to make it work.
It looked like Ham got a little loose there on in the middle of 3 and 4, but he was able to hold on to it. Barnett just tucking in behind, just trying to push him as much as he can before trying to make a move to the inside as we see the 42 make a lunge, and the 85 is still holding on to that lead, going to have the momentum onto the backstretch.
Not able to make the low line work just yet. It might come in as the race goes on and it gets rubbered up. As you're taking a look at Alan Smith, who's currently running in 5th place, trying to catch Charles Abert. Charles Abert had a strong run last night at Watkins Glen in the Warriors Series, looking for another good look tonight.
Yep, both of those drivers in the Warriors Series had varying degrees of success at Watkins Glen. As we see a battle further back, we're taking a look. That is the 7-1-3 of Reno Connor leading this group down into 1, watching Levi McCarty, who's up 13 spots since the start of this race, going 3, trying to take both of those cars low, is able to keep side by side with it, and he's going to have a run down the backstretch, trying to chase down the 1-8, or trying to chase down the 7-13 now.
McCarty already up 14 spots to 7th place. I knew he wouldn't stay back for long, but even I am surprised at what he's doing.
Little squirrely further back.
4 wide action out of 4. Back up front, the race for the lead is getting even tighter as Jake Ham takes it all the way to the apron as they go into 1 and 2. It's hurting his line. Steve Barnett cannot get low enough to make it work, but now he's got a run coming off of 2.
Yeah, both of those cars still in tandem. Steve Barnett tried to make him look to the inside, but opts to stay tucked in behind the 85, but gives him a little bit of a bump going into turn 3. Tries looking again. Ham able to hold it in the middle, and he's going to have the run out of 4.
You got to wonder if, as Barnett gets alongside, they're going to be door to door here as they come across the start-finish line. Oh, almost a little contact there. They keep it safe for now. Ham has been running the bottom of the tri-oval the whole race, but now contact. Ham's in the wall.
Why are you doing that so early? We're not even 10 laps in. Door banging at the start for the lead? That's not a smart move if you want to have a long race. Both of them hit the wall out of 2.
Barnett cleared him, but they both hit the safer barrier coming at it too. Now it's going to be Barnett by 3 car lengths. Jamie Lipke was over a second and a quarter back, but now they've slowed each other down and she's catching up.
I would imagine both of those guys are not going to be happy with each other after that one. Either the psych out or the door bang for the change of the lead. Lipke now a little over a second behind as Jake Ham is trying to chase down Barnett as they go into 1.
You have to wonder how much these two have hurt their stuff. Is that going to allow Jamie Lipke to just whiz right by them in about 10 to 15 laps? We'll have to wait and see as we look back. Here's the 11 car of Dylan Simmons already back up to 7th as he gets past Reno Connor.
Caution is out once again on track, and I think that might have been, I'm seeing a couple of cars slow. The 25th place car, Nick Trussell, trailing a little bit.
Yep, I also see the 41 of Chris Bargetzi has a meatball, and he is currently headed to pit road. And John Herman is a lap down. He's currently towing with a meatball as well. As we're looking at the V-Speed Instant Replay, see if we can figure out what happened. Oh, looks like he just started to wash up the track to get that exit, and it wasn't quite clear.
Gets a run on the front stretch here, trying to keep it steady as he's 3 wide. Jason Kristen in the 0-2 to the inside there, and both those cars get a massive run into 1. Yep.
Well, that's a hard hit. That's going to hurt tomorrow.
Yep, 67 pushed up. That's almost identical to the wreck that we saw in the Cup race where Christopher Bell ended up fracturing his wrist. Except that was in 3 and 4, whereas that one was in 1 and 2, but you're still going really damn fast through there.
As you see the iRacing safety car coming down pit road. We'll have to see who's taking. Looks like your leader's going to take. Nobody's going to follow. Looks like it's the 7th place is the second taker.
Yeah, that's Dylan Simmons, who had the flat spots from earlier. And then we got the 0-2 with Jason Kristen, a couple of cars after that. At least one more taking the trip down pit road as we are starting to line everybody up. Let's take a look and see what the choices are, because we got some strategy that could be at play here. Do you take 2? I can't imagine you would if you've got the opportunity to take all 4.
Well, you're not going to lose any track position really at the end. You know, only about 5 cars that didn't wreck are on pit road. It looks like Jason Kristen only spent 7 seconds on pit road, so that might have just been fuel. Not sure if he took tires there or not. Not really much of an advantage, you know, being 21st instead of 24th, but we'll have to see how the strategy works out when we get back under green.
Speaking of Jason Kristen, after race 4 at Las Vegas in the Truck Series, he is currently your sitting points leader. We haven't factored in the points from this one. We don't really have too much in the way of live scoring, but he was 3 points over Charles Abert in the total standings. Levi McCarty, with his 3 wins, sat 4th, and he's currently P5 after starting way in the back.
Well, Jason Kristen, I talked to before the race. Jason was really just looking for a top 5, trying to pad that points lead, and really just trying not to lose it, like we talked about at the top of the show. Really just wanted to get in, get out cleanly, and have a boring night.
Everybody coming to the choose this time, I believe. Or are we going? Nope, we are.
Yep, looks like Ham's going to take the outside again, which is going to allow Jamie Lipke to line up on the inside. We'll have to see what she has in store for Ham going into turn 1. He was away very clean by a few car lengths last time. We'll have to see what kind of run Jake gets this time.
I like the opportunity here. Charles Abert, another guy that's not afraid to go up there and push, might take this opportunity to try and get Libke up there side by side with Ham and make a move down into 1, try and take him 3. But Alan Smith up there as well. He is no slouch either.
Well, I think everybody in the top 5 has a problem, and he's lined up in row 3, and that's Levi McCarty, who's up 16 spots from the start of the race. He's feeling it. He's got a good machine, and he's ready to bring it to these leaders.
We'll see once we get everybody lined back up. We're bringing them through into turn 3 now. Jamie Libke inside, Jake Ham outside, as we are going to take lap 14. Once the green hits, we are coming up to a quarter of the way through this race.
Coming up to the extreme scoring restart zone. Pace cars coming on down. Libke letting Ham know she's there. And let's see what happens as they come to the restart zone.
Yep, Libke didn't move. Ham came down, trying to get a little bit into Libke's head as he makes another great jump, gets a great restart, and everybody's starting to get past that start-finish line, lined up single file already as far back as they can. Side by side for 4th, that's Alan Smith and Reno Connor.
Libke did not have a good 1 and 2. She's lost about 6 car lengths. And it looks like Charles Abert's not going to get back there either. Now that's let McCarty back up to 3rd as they head down to turn 3 and 4.
Yep, everybody's still trying to get single file here because that's really where you're going to have the most benefit. And we are under caution once again, a little bit further back.
Chris Bargetzi again with a meatball.
Yeah, Bargetzi must have clappered the wall out of 1. Oh, well, might have had some shenanigans on the restart here.
That's unfortunate for him. He's already used his fast repair. Gotta wonder what happened here. Take a look at the V-Speed Instant Replay.
Oh, that is Nick Trussell. And Jason Kristen going spinning through the infield. Trussell comes. Oh.
Not Bargetzi's fault. Very unfortunate. Going to be a short night for him.
That is an unfortunate rejoin there. Oh, the 11 anticipated the restart and just ran over the 022.
Well, you see these sort of things, a very diverse skill set. We have people that are near 5,000. We have people that are well below, 600-700. And sometimes when the really goods are mixed in with the not so goods, you see what can happen there is the 11 had a really good restart and the guy in front of him didn't.
Well, I think we can chalk this one up to a too much skill issue as we're seeing a fake out by Levi McCarty.
Yeah, I don't think he was coming at all, and nobody was fooled by it. He's obviously committed to this strategy. It's working out well for him. He's all the way up to 3rd. And every one of these restarts, they just rack and stack him right in front of him. And he's going to be lining up most likely behind Jamie Libke in the inside of row 2, as Jake Ham's been running the top all night for every restart.
Yep, everybody just wanting to get into a rhythm, run a little more of these green flag laps so they can put more onto the tires. Everybody that's stayed out so far has not put a lot of running on these tires, keeping them in temperature, running under pacing, and just trying to manage it as best they can. They're going to need to come in for fuel. That's the only downside to having to stay out for a lot of this. And we got a whole bunch of strategy that's currently at play here.
Only 2 cars took service on this caution. That's Nick Trussell, Jason Kristen. Kristen's still on pit road. Risks going a lap down here as we're coming to the one to go in the choose. Looks like Jason's on his way out now. So some damage to repair. While these cautions are happening, get it repaired, and hopefully you have a car left over at the end.
Yep, and I think that's a good. That's got to be at least one ray of sunshine for the cars that have damage. Is that the pace laps are so long here, you can sit there and get a lot of it fixed before they come around to the entry of pit road and cross that start finish line. So you should be able to get a little bit of that done if you don't want to burn up that fast repair early.
Yep. So far, 3 cars have used their fast repairs. That's Nick Trussell, John Herman, and Chris Bargetzi, who's inevitably going to be out of the race after this. Get a quick recap as we're going to 1 to go, and we're choosing. We have currently 25 cars on the lead lap. And obviously, we've talked about Levi McCarty moving up 17, 18 spots already. But let's get a shout out to Sean Lobos, Daniel Cunningham, and Hayden Moore, who all jumped up 12 spots, and Matt Weavers, excuse me. So a couple of big movers didn't have good qualifying sessions, but here they are making it count when it matters most.
Yeah, but that's what this series is all about, is just building on top of what you already know. It's the foundation series, which you have to have somewhere to start from. And getting in here with a lot of these guys that are newer to the platform, and there are other guys that have been doing this for a long time, it's a good way to kind of judge your skill level based on how you run with everybody else.
Absolutely. And by the end of 8 weeks, we're definitely going to see who's got the most skill and not just one trick pony skill sets here. You got to be good every week if you're going to make it count here in the Foundation Series.
Pace car is making its way through turn 4 now. Everybody lined up. J-Cam having opted for the outside again. Pace car is in, getting up to the extreme scoring restart zone. That 85, we're going to watch for that early jump again as we get it. Charles Abert able to keep a little bit closer to him, and that and Levi McCarty keeping right on the back bumper of Jamie Libke, giving them a push to try and get below the 85 into 1.
Levi was already in the gas before the restart zone, hooking up to the back bumper of Jamie Libke. It has kept Charles Abert at bay as now Levi McCarty's going to cut to the inside coming out of 2.
Libke's going to have a little bit more of a run here as we get onto the backstretch. And Levi is able to keep in front and has cleared off Jamie Libke for that second spot.
Jake Ham clear by over half a second now. Levi McCarty has Jake Ham in the crosshairs, and they're coming down across the stripe to complete lap 18.
Everybody's just scrambling for position right now, trying to get back into single file. Reno Connor is the car that we're looking at right now. Everybody's just too wide, but as far away from each other as possible, running that top line. 3 wide with the 71 of Daniel Parks jumping in there on the bottom as Brock Price going 4 wide with Charles Abert.
This is going to allow a 2-car breakaway with Jake Ham and Levi McCarty. They're going to get more than a second and a half ahead of the leader of the big pack, Jamie Libke, as they start to thin out a little bit, but still running 3 wide coming out of 3.
That's the 11 of Dylan Simmons making a move 3 wide in there, and he's going to try and he's going to try and make a move on Reno Connor into 1, trying to take it 3 wide into 1 here. Brock Price still on the bottom. The 11 just guns it, trying to keep that momentum going, and he is the one that is on the newest tires in the field, already up into the top 5.
Well, we talked about how these tires are really good for about 5 or 6 laps. Dylan Simmons is going to squeeze every ounce out of these 5 or 6 laps out of these Goodyear tires. You can see making a move on Jamie Libke, already back up to 4th.
Libke made a dive to the bottom to try and conserve some of that momentum, pushing up into the corner. That's going to open it up for Parks, and that cuts them in front of Simmons, but that allows them to hold that momentum. Parks trying to make a move on Libke now.
Parks is probably a little bit lower on the track, more than he wants. That's going to allow Simmons to have a nice run. Has to check up a little bit for Libke. Libke's going to come down and cover Parks, but Parks still has a little bit of a run, gets a little bit sideways, and there's 3 cars all even with each other heading down the back straightaway.
Jamie Libke still holding position over these 2. Simmons going to try and make that move here. Just goes in between the 2 of them, diving to the bottom, cashing in that momentum, and is going to take the 3rd spot. But if Libke has anything to say about it, they're going to try and get it back into 1.
Simmons was not clear, but Parks thought better of it, lifted just a little bit. It's going to cost him a little momentum as you see the 43 of Brock Price starting to catch up. But it kept the caution flag in the hand of the flagman, and we're still green as Dylan Simmons is now going to be clear, and there's going to be contact between Parks and Libke.
Not even. Parks was able to back out of it at the last second, and that gives an opportunity to the 43 to try and take a spot into the top 5 into 3.
Brock Price is going to get all the way down to the first seam. He's got a nice run, but here comes Parks up the top as we're back towards the leaders, looking for Levi McCarty to come out of 4 and lead his first lap.
118 to the point, 20 spots gained on the day, taking lap 23. As we go into 1, Jake Ham's not going to be too happy about that one.
Jake Ham has a lot more green flag laps on his tires as he's had to battle everyone who's wanted to lead. Levi McCarty just really sort of diced everyone up as you see all the way back down to the apron, lost a little control of his car, but he's still going to have Ham by 2 car lengths going into 3.
I thought he was pulling a Indy 500 there, just trying to break the momentum. But we see Simmons running the top, catching these guys, just hand and fist, grabbing as much ground as he can, and he's within half a second of the lead.
Here comes Jake Ham. He's right on the bumper of Levi McCarty. Levi McCarty slower than the rest of the cars this last lap. He's lost over a second to Dylan Simmons in the last 2 laps. Is now Simmons is right next to Ham for second.
Simmons is flying as we see the 118 make contact with the wall. We are side by side for the lead. Dylan Simmons on 12-lap fresher tires is going to make that move for the lead into 3 and will take it outright. Levi McCarty tucking into second with Jake Ham following close behind in third.
Jake Ham really tried to stretch that and save second place, but he couldn't do it. Cost him a little tire, but here comes Levi McCarty. It's going to be even at the stripe. It's going to go to Dylan Simmons that lap, but Levi McCarty knows ahead going into 1.
And both of these guys able to cash in the momentum from trying to stay behind Simmons. Simmons tucking in behind the 118 to get a good run out of 1 and 2, just keeping it right behind the 118, using that draft to try and get that move as he makes it into 3. There's, the bumper rubbing here. Dylan Simmons trying to unsettle McCarty as they get into 3, but McCarty got off onto the bottom as quick as he could before he got spun out of turn 3.
Simmons has the run coming out into the tri-oval as they cross the stripe to finish lap 25. Simmons is right on the bumper. He's going to look faking right, going left, and he's going to fall in behind. That's going to allow Jake Ham to start closing the gap.
As long as he's behind these two, he is going to have an opportunity at any point in this race because he is going to be catching that draft just off the back of the 11, and that's what Simmons is putting to work on McCarty right now. Still leading is the 118. Those 3 under a blanket as we got a battle for 4th shaping up with Brock Price, Jamie Lipke, and Daniel Parks.
You see the 3-car battle here as Daniel Parks has the run but doesn't have any room. Is he going to make a move? Yes, he is. He's going to come to the inside of Lipke going down into 1, and he's going to take 4th place.
Not for long. Lipke's still holding that top line, running the middle as opposed to Parks running the bottom. Going to have the momentum on the exit of 2, try and cross him over here as they all make an exit, and we see 1 car going a little bit loose further back. Alan Smith with a bad exit, and he is going to drop spots.
We'll have to see what line Jamie Lipke chooses in 3 and 4. Looks like she's going to run 1 car width above Parks. You see Brock Price up there trying to run the high line. It's not going to work, and they're spread out a little bit more as they come across the stripe.
Everybody trying to get single file still. Daniel Cunningham, another one of your big movers, up 13 spots, settling into the top 10, fighting with Reno Connor to try and advance position. Alan Smith dropping back a little bit as this has caused a little bit of a traffic jam for the entry to the top 10.
Cunningham is going to have a run to try to pass Reno Connor. He's going to fall in line, but he might peel out and try to go low going into 3 and 4. He does.
Everybody's still under a blanket for this top spot. Levi McCarty is still holding firm. Dylan Simmons, I thought his name was Devin for a second, just opts to go to the inside, keeping it to the quarter, trying to get as much momentum as he can into 1. He's going to make the dive,
Caution's
and
out.
I think he got it before the yellow came out. We are still showing Levi McCarty as your leader, and that is Matt Weber's slow in the infield with a few others.
Taking a look at the V-Speed instant replay. Let's see what happened there. Looks like one came, had a run, came down. One other had a run, came up. And, well, that doesn't bode well for steel pipe and carbon fiber, huh?
Sorry, I had to sneeze. It looks like Josh Unger pushed it to the bottom there and was just coming back up the track. and made the heavy contact with Weavers. He makes contact with the inside wall, and then they both end up meeting again here. No, I thought they made more contact than that once we got back settled in the infield. But Levi McCarty is still listed as your leader after 30 laps.
Fortunately for Nick Trussell, already used his fast repair. I don't know if he'll be able to get that car back underway. We'll have to wait and see what the crew can do. Wow, we had some really good racing there up front. It was side by side when the caution flew, but now, I think we'll have to see what the call is here. Is it time for everybody to pit and get forward brand new Goodyears?
I think if you're one of the leaders here, you do it and then hope that there are more cautions later on so you can save, and just push what you can to the end. Dylan Simmons has the advantage of being a little bit better on fuel and tires, but I think, everybody is going to want to try and come down the pits here.
The biggest loser in this is going to be Jay Cam. He was perfectly content to sit there in third and let McCarty and Simmons hurt each other's tires as they battled for the lead. We'll have to see how it shakes up with everybody back on level terms here as we see McCarty in his stall, taking his service. It's going to be 4 tires and a bunch of Sunoco race fuel. Maybe enough to get to the end. I think it's going to be really, really close. I think you'd have to save at this point.
Yep, you'd have to save. You'd have to hope. You have to hope for a couple of cautions as well, because I know that you really can't try and push it too hard here. Otherwise, you're going to be stranded because this track is so long. Levi McCarty able to get it out of the pits, but
Jay Cam's going to pick up a spot.
Not before Steve Barnett with a move. I think that
he took 2 tires.
2 tires, yes. 7.6 second stop for the 22. That puts him back up to the top and in the conversation for the lead here.
Well, I think Barnett is going to plan for more cautions with the field bunched up as we go here into the last 49 laps. You got to think that business is going to pick up, and this is only going to get sillier.
Yep. Everybody on even ground when it comes to tires, at least with the drivers on the lead lap. Levi McCarty is not going to want to sit behind the 22 too long. And if Barnett has seen what's going on for the rest of this race so far, I think he's going to opt for that top lane.
Well, Levi McCarty knows that he's got a battle against the guy with 2 tires. I think he's going to make quick work as Steve Barnett has decided to come down. Maybe it was a fuel-only stop, but he's going to come down. It looks like he's going to get tires. He's going to leave the lead, Levi McCarty.
And I would imagine that Levi is going to want to take the outside lane for this restart, give Ham the disadvantage of the inside if he can't get a good restart. He's got Simmons right behind him too. Daniel Parks with a good opportunity to make up some ground here. Cunningham made up about 5 spots on that pit stop as well.
Well, as we're 1 to go, let's take a look and recap your field here as we're got about 2 miles till we get the green flag again. We're on lap 32 out of 80. We have 23 cars on the lead lap. Your biggest move of the race, your race leader, Levi McCarty, up 20. A couple of really impressive runs, though. Daniel Cunningham all the way up to 5th, up 18 spots from where he started. I'm looking at the top 10 or so. You got Levi McCarty, Jake Cam, Park Simmons, Cunningham, Brock Price, Jamie Lipke, Alan Smith, and Sean Lobos. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. If you're looking at a fuel stretch here, I think Jamie Lipke is somebody we've seen at the 2 milers really stretch out that fuel economy.
And if anything's going to happen, you got 48 laps to do it. Everybody 2 by 2 going through turn 3 and into the entry of turn 4.
We'll know who's fuel saving here in a couple laps when they all start falling to the back.
Yes, we will. Everybody's holding a little bit further back from the pace car as it pulls itself into the pit lane. Side by side, McCarty, the go-ahead car on this restart, into the restart zone, not even halfway through before he guns it, and we're back green at Michigan. Ham able to tuck in between him and Parks. Simmons holding that bottom lane. Parks is going to have a bit more of a run if he doesn't push up. Oh, almost some side contact with Simmons and Parks. Parks had to back out of it a little bit, but They are lined up on top, so that's going to start pulling that 71 up ahead of the 11 as Cunningham is lined up behind those two. Simmons makes a dive to the inside to try and get the position.
Ham did not get a good restart. That blocked Simmons from getting where he wanted to be, and it allowed Levi McCarty to be out about 10 car lengths as they come to the start-finish line to complete lap 33. The big mover we've talked about, Daniel Cunningham, like you said, up to 5th in striking distance of the leaders we've seen up front all night.
And the 11 is Simmons making a run to the bottom. He is continuing to hold that bottom line, trying to follow the 118 through there, and is going to secure that second spot over Jake Ham. Another change of position, but they are flying to try and catch the McCarty machine.
Jake Ham stayed in line, got a big push of arrow for Dylan Simmons. That's going to take them both to the back bumper of Levi McCarty. They're not going to have the run. Levi McCarty is going to come down and cover for Dylan Simmons, who's been racing a couple off of the apron. And they're heading down into 1. Jake Ham falling back a little bit.
All three of them were zigzagging out of 4 there. They tried as hard as they could to not hit that wall. Daniel Parks now tagging onto the back of this battle with the 88 of Cunningham, and Brock Price coming into the battle as well.
Jake Ham absolutely sent it into turn 1, and it's paid dividends here. He's starting to catch the draft of McCarty and Simmons going into 3. Simmons going to get some of that dirty air. It's going to slow him down, but Jake Ham came down a lane. He's going to be clean air, and he's going to get a decent run. Here comes Levi McCarty all the way to the bottom.
We got cars on the wall further back. Sean Lobos a little slow. Jamie Libke dropping all the way to the back of the field. Might have had some contact on the wall as we continue to watch that lead battle, but Libke taking it down into the pits, likely to get that fast repair.
Ooh, nothing
Push
you can
up.
do there. Just pushed up and sent into that wall. Hard contact. That's going to be a fast repair for sure.
That was the double out of Alan Smith, I believe, that made the contact pushing up like that. Still in this heated battle for the lead, Simmons trying to track down Levi McCarty. Jake Ham now starting to fall back a little bit and watch these two battle, not use up his stuff too much. But he's got to keep in mind that Daniel Parks is still in the wake of this as we watch on board with McCarty, watching Simmons take that much shallower line, trying to cash in that momentum out of the turns, tucked in to get that draft off of the 118 and maybe make a move into 3.
An absolute slugfest as the leaders go into turns 3 and 4. Levi McCarty, Dylan Simmons, Jake Ham and Daniel Parks watch from 3rd and 4th, but here comes Simmons. He's going to have a run to the top. It's going to be covered off by Levi McCarty. He's going to look low, but he's going to fake and stay. Levi goes down to the bottom, and they're zigzagging all over the front stretch as they head into 1 and 2.
It looked like Simmons might have tried to counter his fake there as Levi ducked to the bottom. Simmons almost stuck a nose up top and almost got to the corner of McCarty. Takes it down to the bottom there and trying to round off that corner as much as he can. Tucks back in with McCarty, and everybody is back to square one from when we started on this restart.
I do not know how Dylan Simmons is going to feel in about 25 or 30 laps if he's still getting raced like this. He's going to have a little bit of a run coming out of 4. He's going to look a little bit low, and here comes McCarty. He's going to stay to the high side. Simmons is not going to have a run this lap. Let's see what he does going into 1.
It is a stalemate right now. McCarty holding off Simmons. Simmons unable to generate that run. Both of them starting to pull away a little bit from the 85 of Ham as the line behind is starting to stretch out as we got a bit of a gap between Jason Kristen and Steve Barnett. 2.5 seconds separating 8th and 9th.
As you see, Dylan Simmons looks again low. Hasn't been able to make it work quite yet, but now he's going to have a little bit of a run. He gets a little bit loose coming out of 4. Now he's going to go to the high side as McCarty comes down. It's not going to catch him all the way down to the apron for Levi McCarty.
And that has just opened this battle up for Jake Ham to get back into it with the misstep from Simmons. McCarty having to cover off at the last second. Ham a little bit further up the track than the other two. He is going to have a monster run out of 2.
Jake Ham saving that Goodyear rubber for the right time, and that right time might be now. He's going to have a good run on Simmons. Is he going to throw it to the low side, or is he going to wait? No, he's going to run a couple widths higher in 3 and 4.
Everybody tucked in behind Ham as well. Daniel Parks and Daniel Cunningham saying, I want a piece of this battle. Those two are up there fighting. I want to get in on this. Jake Ham still leading those two. Levi McCarty leading another lap and trying to snake his way to keep himself in front of Dylan Simmons, as we might have seen the 11 clip the wall a little bit into the entry of 1, but everybody's still holding in line, and we're going to see everybody shuffle off into on the exit of turn 2 here.
Daniel Cunningham has a run for 4th, but right now all eyes are on 1st and 2nd. It's Levi McCarty and Dylan Simmons heading into turns 3 and 4 to come around and complete lap 41. We're more than halfway through this race right now. As you see, Simmons is going to stay to the low side. That's going to let McCarty get a little bit better of an exit. Going to close up just a little bit. Ham still content, waiting in the wings in 3rd.
That stalemate still continuing. Meanwhile, further back, a little bit of a misstep through 3 and 4 for Daniel Parks. That's allowed Daniel Cunningham to get right back up to his back bumper, and he is trying to get around the 71 now. Almost has a run, is able to get to the quarter of the 71, but the 71's tucked in behind the other cars in front. The 85 is right in front, giving him that draft. Cunningham looking to the inside to try and generate a run.
A lot of respect between those two. Cunningham left him a lot of room, but he's going to clear coming out of 4. Park's going to have a little bit of a run. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get the position back.
Might be something if he tries to take it into 1, but everybody's still lined up single file all the way back. A little bit of contact into 1 from the 11 onto the back bumper of the 18. That allows Ham to try and get a little bit of this momentum back, running a line higher than those two, trying to generate a run out of 2.
I've been watching Dylan Simmons coming in and out of the trial for the last few laps. He is absolutely giving this everything he can, but he's throttling up just a little bit too early and coming into contact with that safer barrier multiple times. Hopefully he's got no damage.
He's pushing down on the track to try and increase his rotation out of 3 and 4. Keeps it in that bottom line, trying to get behind the 18 of McCarty as he's holding it off. But Ham is right there. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a move, because Simmons, another contact on the entry of 1. We might see it right here onto the backstretch.
Simmons has a little bit of a run on McCarty as they come out of 2. Trying to make it work. You need Simmons and Ham to work together, but they're not going to. Ham wants 2nd place. Here comes Simmons going down into turn 3. McCarty all the way to the bottom of 3 and 4. He'll probably go all the way to the grass in the tri-oval as well.
Yep, everybody's still holding on to it single file, trying to use that draft as much as they can. Stretched out a little bit over Ham. Daniel Cunningham now caught up to the 85 to try and challenge for 3rd.
Yeah, the Pink Ghost machine has been good all night, up 19 spots. The only one better is Levi McCarty. As you see Ham kind of starting to struggle with his car, that's going to allow Cunningham to really get a run. Let's see what he can do coming into 3 and 4.
14 laps on these tires, and you think that they're burnt up already?
By the way they've been driving.
Everything has been flat out since we came back from that caution. I believe we're in the longest green run that we've had to this point in the race. Daniel Cunningham still trying to make a move on the 85, just holding it off for now. Simmons making a dive to the bottom, now taking a lower line than McCarty through 1 and 2.
Just to catch up on Jamie Lipke, who had some contact earlier, taking her fast repair, and she's back out on track 1 lap down. As we continue to watch the leaders here, the battle for the top 6, absolutely electric lap after lap.
Yep, looking back at this battle for 3rd, Daniel Parks had a little bit of momentum to try and keep his position in 5th, but now he is under fire from Brock Price in that 43, and Alan Smith isn't far behind.
Brock Price has been pretty steady the whole night. He is up 7 spots from where he started, off a little bit there, but he's going to have a decent run to try to catch the back bumper of Daniel Parks, as we're going to have a battle here for 3rd. Daniel Cunningham to the inside. Is he going to be there? It looks like he will, going into 3.
Yep, he is not going to be to the quarter of the 85, but he's given Ham enough to consider that the 88 might be making a move here. Tries to pull it into the inside of the 85, but nothing doing. Everybody lines back up single file, and that has given them a little more of an opportunity to catch those top 2.
4 cars within half a second of the leader. You're seeing them out your window on the television screen right now. Daniel Cunningham in 4th, the last of those cars, trying to get a run on Jake Ham, who's managed to defend very well so far. As you see, Simmons getting alongside McCarty for the lead.
Little bit of a misstep by the 18 onto the backstretch. The 11 goes to the bottom. They're able to go side by side, maybe a little bit of contact through 3 and 4, but that has brought everybody into contention for this top spot. Simmons drops the top spot to McCarty again, but Ham is to his outside. Cunningham trying to keep behind the 85 as we go into 1.
Fire out of the side pipes for the 11 car. He had to lift in 3 and 4. He absolutely sent it. But what he's done is he has gotten there. But then again, so has Jake Ham and Daniel Cunningham.
Everybody is running so close together. Cunningham looking to the inside of Ham, trying to drag race to catch up to the back end of Simmons. Simmons in the 11 able to keep it in front of McCarty. McCarty still running that top lane, trying to carry as much momentum as he can through 3 and 4. Cunningham able to get that 3rd spot.
I think Cunningham sees a little teamwork in the action here. If he can push Dylan Simmons on the backstretch and into the turn, he can get by Jake Ham for 3rd and then figure it out from there. Oh, is there's going to be contact? They both left the lift early. Going into 2, or 1 and 2, excuse me.
Both of them still side by side, not able to clear completely as Simmons is able to get past the 18, and that has blocked Ham up because he's got a car to his inside, still trying to push the 18 into the corner. Everybody going into 3. 18 dives down to try and get a run on Simmons, but Ham left out to dry. A little bit of a tire spin there as the 11 is being pushed by the 18 out of 4.
I think the 11 is running a little bit lower than his car wants to run right now. But all that being said, he has maintained the lead. He's clear by 2 car lengths. McCarty lifted a little bit to make sure, but after that, he just decided he was going to push him the whole way.
3 wide for 2nd right now. Daniel Cunningham inside. Outside running Levi McCarty. Jake Ham in the middle. Everybody able to clear through into the backstretch. Daniel Cunningham, the biggest loser as he drops back to 4th, but the 2 thrown in for 2nd. We're side by side, and we are not seeing the end of it yet.
While this is all happening in Dylan Simmons' rearview mirror, he's come clear out of 1/4 of a second right now, and he is going to be 10 car lengths ahead of the other 3. Oh, this is almost contact as they come across the start-finish line.
I think that was a little bit of a payback there because Ham pushed up and caught himself before he hit the 18, and we saw a little bit of a reaction from McCarty watching that happen, and that has put him in the position to continue holding that 2nd spot. Daniel Cunningham trying to chase down the 85 and everybody behind. You see Daniel Parks still trying to keep it in top 5 from Brock Price as well.
McCarty's going to run real high. It hasn't really worked for anybody else tonight, but he's going to try to make it happen. It's going to allow Jake Ham to get a nice run. His caution is out on the speedway.
Everything is going to cool down here as we got heavy contact for Darren Price into the inside wall off of 2.
That was a pretty good green flag run. We saw lots of racing on track that was just absolutely phenomenal. Oh, just a little too heavy out of the turn, hit the wall, bounced, and
Ooh.
Did a do-si-do off the safer barrier on the inside wall.
Speared it into the emergency entrance there off of the nose of Josh Unger, who was a bystander in that one.
Well, Jake, you're the crew chief on the box. How does this change your strategy now?
4 tires. Take them right now. You have enough to get you another set here, and if you haven't taken them like from an early spin, you have another one in the bank as well. So everybody needs to come down for tires here. You've got 1/4 of the race on the set you're on right now. It's a no-brainer for me.
Absolutely. You do not look, if you look at the chart of where these people started and where they're at now, you cannot let Levi McCarty be anywhere near you with a tire advantage. You need to be on the same strategy.
Everybody is going to likely come down the pits here to get those tires. Jamie Libke going to get back on the lead lap as a result of the free pass here. And as predicted, everybody has gone down into the pits except for Mark Barcelos, and the 49 has opted to stay out.
Well, we saw Dylan Simmons lose a spot on pit road last caution. Let's see what his time looks like here. I don't know if this is the time to try some sort of alternate tire strategy. Way too much time left in this race.
Yep, 4 tires is the call for the 11. He is going to drop off of the jacks, get down, get going, and that is going to be a position gain for Jake Ham, I believe, on top of Levi McCarty.
No, I think McCarty got out first.
That was a close call for sure.
All right, well, as we sit here and rack and stack one more time, what notes have you taken here in the first 53 laps?
I am not good at taking notes, but I can tell you this. I don't think we're done wrecking, and we are definitely not done with the battles up front. Mark Barcelos making this decision to stay out is a little odd on the 23-lap-old tires, especially at a track that's so dependent on the grip. But wherever he picks to start is going to be the decider of who takes the lead into one.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've gotten through almost 3/4 of this race, it's definitely it's been interesting to say the least. We've seen a lot of big movers, not just one guy who's really good. A lot of people have been all the way up the field from the back. And we've really seen what sort of challenges this foundation series that Goat Locker Racing has put together has introduced to these drivers. You might have been good last week in a truck, but you're not good this week necessarily.
Yep, anything goes, especially when it comes to this track being as close to a plate track as you can get without going like full restrictor plate. And then you got the road course next week. This has got to be the most technical part of the schedule, in my opinion.
As Mark Barcelos taking the inside line here as we get ready to go back to green. You know, I don't know where he's at exactly in the points, but he's going to get a point that he didn't have a few minutes ago. So a little bit of a strategy call there. Get your point. Maybe he just fades gracefully into the back and waits for another caution.
He is going to send it as hard as he can into one and hope those old tires stick, as I think he's opting for the outside line. He is opting for the outside line. That's a little bit of a late decision.
Yeah, we'll have to see if race control has a procedural violation for him, but no harm, no foul. I guess everybody's getting back in line and they're ready for this restart.
Yep, Simmons is game for it. Jake Ham is going to be right behind that 49, so he's going to have to push as hard as he can to get past that, to get him past the 11. Pace car is in. Everybody into the restart zone off of 4, and it is on Mark Barcelos to get this race back under green, as we are under green once again at Michigan. Everybody's starting to stack up a little bit. Levi McCarty passes stripe, trying to go to the inside of Simmons. Barcelos up top. Everybody diving it down into one.
Jake Ham came out of line before the start-finish line, but couldn't get around him. I don't know if they're going to count that as a penalty, but right now the main focus is on first and second, as Dylan Simmons is going to cut to the inside. He's going to be at the rear bumper going into 3 and 4.
11 making that jump to the inside, going into 3, is able to pull a little bit, and he's going to hold that line toward the bottom in front of Levi McCarty. Jake Ham able to keep it in line behind them as we are side by side for 4th. Daniel Cunningham on Daniel Parks.
Parks has just a little bit of advantage. He's going to be just a little bit clear as he's going to come down and cover on Cunningham as they go into 1 and 2. There's 2-3 wides here trying to make something happen. Parks is going to wash up the track as now we're looking back at Alan Smith and the 42 car of, I'm sorry, who's that?
Barnett.
Steve Barnett. He's fallen all the way back since the restart here. Alan Smith's going to make quick work of him in the next lap or 2.
Meanwhile, Jake Ham getting to the back bumper of the 18 here. The 11 pushing up out of the corner and is trying to cash in as much of that momentum as he can. Everybody's still single file as far as we can see, with Dylan Simmons taking his pole and still holding on to that lead from earlier. A little bit of contact for the 85 on the entrance of 1, but he is pushing as hard as he can around the top.
Ham is driving around Jake McCarty like he owns the place, and he's going to clear, gone the back straightaway. Now he's got to run for Dylan Simmons. Is he going to push Dylan Simmons into 3, or is he going to make the run low? No, he's going to stay high side.
Simmons went a lane down to try and discourage Ham from taking that run, and I think it has played out exactly in his favor as everybody pushes up out of turn 4, as we see Brock Price now trying to make a move on Daniel Cunningham further back. Dylan Simmons still holding on to the lead as we are almost 3/4 of the way through this race.
Levi McCarty trying to collect his breath from what just happened as Jake Ham is going to drive around the outside. Jake Ham's going to take the lead here at Michigan.
And he is going to have the run. Dylan Simmons jumping in right behind to try and figure out a rebuttal as we go through 3 and 4. And Daniel Parks almost to the back bumper of Levi McCarty. And McCarty has got to be saving his stuff watching those two fight up front. But he is going to be under fire here soon.
Parks and McCarty are right behind, or excuse me, Parks and Cunningham right behind Levi McCarty, who you said, yeah, probably saving. Watching these two spend it all here at Michigan as the lead battle for the lead continues. Got to wonder if Dylan Simmons is backing off a little bit, or is he just watching for, or is he going to go for the lead here into 3?
Nope, he is holding back as much as he can, watching that 85 just try and keep him back there. That's all he's trying to do right now, so the 11 can wait as much as he needs to try and save his tires and make that final push. Meanwhile, we are almost 3 wide, a little bit further back as we see the 42 of Barnett Cunningham and Brock Price. We're 3 wide going through 3 and 4. Cunningham to the inside, and we see the 42 of Barnett take that 5th spot trying to chase down Daniel Parks.
It's a 7-car melee for third place. And there's
heavy.
Caution's out. Oh, no.
2 of our front runners in the top 5, top 7 all night long. That is Barnett and Brock Price with a heavy contact to the inside wall, and Barnett just pushed up a little too much on exit of 2.
Barnett on those older tires, you had to wonder if that played a factor, just could not lay the gas pedal down to get around like everybody else. And it cost him, and it cost everyone around him.
Jake Ham is going to enjoy this because it gives him an opportunity to set the pace on the ensuing restart, but he's just going to keep clicking those laps away under yellow, and he is the leader.
Well, we're going to get back underway with about 15 or 16 laps to go, and it is absolutely go time. It is time for your alternate strategy if you're going to pull one out. The field is starting to thin just a little bit. We've issued a lot of fast repairs, and there's a few meatballs out there right now. You don't want to end up too far back, and you hope some guys come with you, but if you're going to try something, now's the time.
My question is it wise to try and go for that last set of tires right here? Because you have an 8-lap advantage on the rest of the field if you do.
It might be a little too early. Levi was thinking about it, but he's not going to do it. If I'm in the top 7 or 8, I'm probably not doing it. Even if I can't win, I'm happy with my top 5, 6, 7 positions. But, you get back there in 8th, 9th place, maybe it's worth trying. A couple cars going to try it. Barcelos, Barnett, and Mulfell. Well, Barnett had to come down anyway, but a couple cars going to come down for service, see what they can do, and see where they'll end up here at the end of the night. As you see the field working their way through turns 1 and 2. Jake Ham continues to lead. Let's get you a quick rundown as we see the STP car go by right there. That's Gary Duff getting a lap back. He's going to be back on the lead lap. That's going to put 22 cars on the lead lap. Your leader is Jake Ham. 2nd place, Dylan Simmons, Levi McCarty, and his Toyota are in 3rd. Daniel Parks, Daniel Cunningham, Jason Kristen, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Alan Smith, Nate Kalita, Charles Aber, and Sean Lobos round out your top 10. We've had 6 cautions and 9 lead changes. It feels like we've had more than 9 lead changes, Jacob.
Well, it doesn't feel like that to me because we've been seeing the same three people trying to fight for that lead all night. It's been the Jake Ham, Dylan Simmons, and Levi McCarty three-man band up front for the majority of this race. We saw Dylan Simmons come from the back off of that first spin that he had, and he has been showing exactly why he needs to be up at the front here, because he has just been tearing it up all night. And what I want to ask you is, who do you have winning this thing?
Well, if I knew, I would be in Vegas setting odds for the sports books. But, you know, we watched Levi save a little bit. You know, he only saved for a handful of laps, but is that going to give him some sort of advantage here in these last 15 or 16 laps? We'll have to see. But the real question mark here is have we had our last caution yet?
I don't think we have, and we have seen a lot of sparks between those top three runners. Simmons and McCarty have had a little bit of contact. Ham and McCarty have a little bit of history, as far as I know. And then there's always room to be made for more rivalry when it comes to Ham and Simmons. I think we're going to see a little bit of a dark horse here. I think the 0-2 of Jason Christian is going to pull it out before the end of this one.
Well, if we were going to name a dark horse, I think if you got somebody waiting in the wings to take advantage of a bad situation, Daniel Cunningham in that pink 88 might be your guy. So we'll have to see where everybody shakes out here in the next 16 laps. But I think we're going to have a lot of action here to close this out.
Jake Ham opting on that inside lane. Dylan Simmons taking the top. Going to take lap 65 once we get back to the stripe. Pace car leading him through turn 3 and into turn 4.
You got to think that Ham's choosing the inside because he thinks McCarty's going to be a good pusher, an aggressive pusher all night, and he's going to want to clear Simmons.
And that must be what's going through his head. Everybody getting into the restart zone. Going to go right here on Jake Ham. Good start for the 85 green flag back at Michigan. Everybody's starting to get a little squirrely before we hit the stripe.
McCarty did not push. He stayed back, but he still got the run. He's going to clear, he's going to be side by side with Dylan Simmons. He's going to try to get to the rear bumper of Jake Ham coming out of 2.
Levi McCarty making a dive all the way to the bottom, getting side by side with Ham. That's going to open the door for Dylan Simmons if he wants to try and make a move into 3, depending on what those two in front do. Diving to the bottom is Levi McCarty. Ham goes with him, opting to keep that middle lane, and Simmons keeps it pinned up top, side by side for second, trying to trail that 85.
Simmons braked a little bit early, let off, and that let him get the run here as he's going now. He's going to make a move to the inside, going into 1 and 2.
It's got to be go time if you're the guys up front, no matter what, because if the caution comes out, you're going to be leading them to the stripe again. 85 up top, running that high line, keeping the momentum going. Simmons still with a quarter, but he's going to lose it onto the backstretch.
Ham clears Simmons as they run down to 3. They both make contact with the safer barrier. No harm, no foul. Ham all the way to the bottom. Simmons is going to come and find him, but now he's going to tuck in behind him, try to catch that draft as they head down into the start-finish line. Here comes Simmons to the bottom. He's got a little bit of a run as he crosses the start-finish line. Let's see if he can make something happen into 1.
What happened is Ham pushed up out of 4. That gives an opportunity for Simmons. We see Daniel Parks making a move on the 18 for 3rd, side by side for the 1st and 3rd positions. Daniel Parks in the 71 to the 3rd spot.
Red, white, and blue 71 clear of Levi McCarty as they work their way down the back straightaway. Simmons is going to get in line. It's the first 5 cars in line together. As you see Parks running half a car width below, he's going to have a run because Simmons is going to get a little bit loose, has to lift just a little bit. That's going to let Jake Ham stretch it out to 4 car lengths.
And Daniel Parks wasn't going to stop there. He's keeping it up top, trying to generate a run into turn 1. Dylan Simmons pushing up, trying to round off that corner as much as he can to catch that 85. 71 still keeping it tucked behind the 11. 85 with a good run onto the backstretch as everybody is staying single file.
85 has finally figured out how to run high, and he is making it work at the right time. We have 13 laps to go, 12 at the stripe here. He's clear by 3/10 here, 10 car lengths as Parks makes a look to the top.
Daniel Parks still keeping it behind Dylan Simmons, and Simmons is trying to keep as close to the 85 as he can, staying up on the banking as opposed to the apron to try and keep the heat out of the tires. As we see a little bit of a scrape from the 11, he is pushing it to the limit to try and catch Ham.
71 pushing the 11. They are starting to catch Jake Ham. Lead down to 2/10 now. As you see Levi McCarty start to push Ham. He's going to make a move to the outside. He's going to be there as they go into 3 and 4.
Daniel Parks with the advantage on the bottom, but he is going to have to keep it pinned before the 18 has a chance to come back at him. As we see the 0-2 at Jason Christian getting into this battle now as well. 71 keeping the position, and everybody dicing and slicing further back as we see Simmons within a 10th and a half of Ham going into 1.
Yeah, your dark horse has taken advantage of the 71, defending well, but that's also going to allow Nate Cotilla to enter the picture. We got 6 cars within a second of the leader as the 11 car, Dylan Simmons, is right on the rear bumper of Ham going into 3.
Well, has allowed the 11 to get right back up on the back bumper like we saw earlier on. Jake Ham is going to have to try and keep Simmons behind as much as he can, back out to a 10th and a half, but that is not going to hold for long as we see Simmons continue to hold on the banking, trying to catch up to that 85 as Daniel Parks is keeping it in tandem now.
It's a 5-6 car battle for the win. We have 10 laps to go here at Michigan. Daniel Parks sniffing the lead out for the first time all night. Jake Ham going low to break the draft. It's not going to help as Simmons still has a good run. He's got Parks helping with a little bit of aero push going into 3 and 4.
That push from the draft absolutely helping the 11 try and get up to 85. Ham tried to break the draft on the front end, but that did nothing to help his lead. He's able to get back up to 2/10 out of 4, and everybody from first on back still in line.
A 7-car breakaway is vying for the win. 9 laps to go here at Michigan. Jake Ham ahead by 5 car lengths because Dylan Simmons has got a mirror full of Daniel Parks. Daniel Parks wants second place, and he wants it now.
What a run. A little bit of wall scrape from the 11 on the entry of 1. Everybody's still stacking up almost to the back bumper of the 85 is the 11. Everybody starting to accordion up as we got a run on the inside from the 11 to Simmons on Jake Ham. Everybody's stacking behind. Where did Barnett come from?
The 11's got Jake McCarty going to push. It's going to push him out to the lead. He's going to lead that lap. They're going to go down to 1 at the door of Dylan Simmons.
Simmons and Ham still side by side. Everybody first through 6th in a blanket right now. Simmons holding on to that first spot. Ham able to tuck in behind. Barnett to the inside, trying to take it side by side for second.
Ham got a little bit loose coming out of 2. It's going to allow Steve Barnett to be side by side as they go into 3 and 4. He's got a little bit of an advantage. He's going to clear Jake Ham for second. He's looking for Dylan Simmons.
Simmons and Barnett with early mishaps now running 1-2 for the lead in Michigan. It's going to be 7 to go at the stripe. Jake Ham falling back a little bit, almost 0.4 of a second between him and the leader as Barnett might take a look into 1.
And here comes the move for the lead. He's to the inside. He's clear. Can he hold it? Coming out of 2. I think he can. It's Steve Barnett back out front.
Steve Barnett on the off strategy call, 9 laps fresher tires than everybody in the field, holding off Dylan Simmons right now, a 10th and a half separating the 11 and the 22.
I don't know if this race can be won without another caution because the freshest tires are now leading the race. As you see them coming to the line, it's going to be 6 laps to go at Michigan. There's 12 miles between Steve Barnett and a win here in the Foundation Series.
There was a big wiggle out of the 11 on the exit of turn 4. Barnett, having that advantage with the tires, is going to try and push that as much as he can as we have stretched out a little bit for the top 5. Parks and Kristen still fighting for the 4th spot with McCarty just behind as they have tucked in behind Jake Ham to try and get up to 3rd.
I don't know if anybody else but Dylan Simmons has anything for Steve Barnett. They've battled so much over the last 10 laps. I don't think, well, it's not over yet. Here comes McCarty to the inside, looking for 3rd place, that final podium spot. He looks like he's going to clear down into 1.
Levi McCarty makes that move stick. Jake Ham still opting to tuck behind the 18. The 22 of Barnett still holding fast. Simmons trying to tuck in behind him to get that draft off of the turn 2.
First and second still on our minds, but right now the battle is for third. It's a 5-car melee led by Levi McCarty right now.
You can see Parks creep into frame there. All 3 of those cars still trying to fight for that third spot. Jake Ham taking a little bit of a lower line to try and keep in grasping distance of Levi McCarty, as we see Jason Kristen making a move for that 5th spot. And just behind them is Nate Cotillo. We haven't talked about him too much tonight.
Kristen had the run coming out of 4, but he was sandwiched between Parks and Cotillo, but now he's going to be there. Parks is going to have a little bit of run coming out of 2. They're going to be side by side going down the back straightaway.
A little bit of side-by-side action further back. Brock Price now in the conversation here. Wiggle from the 71 trying to set up entry into 3. Cotilla making a look to the inside. A little bit of contact, but backs off. Nothing major, and Brock Price is going to have a monster run out of 4.
Parks got a little bit out of shape, but he managed to save it. That's going to allow Brock Price to have a run up top. He's at the door of Brock Price. He's not going to be there. Price is going to have a run going into 1.
Price is going to have that run that's put him into the top 6. Jason Kristen still holding on to that 5th spot, and our leaders have stretched out. Barnett, contact
Parks
from the 71 onto Parks.
He saved it. But he's going to be out of a top 5 contention here.
What a save by Daniel Parks. That's going to burn him up a little bit. He's under fire from Charles Abert further back. Brock Price now fighting for that final top 5 spot with Nate Cotilla just behind and fighting to the back end of Jason Chris.
There's 2 laps to go. Steve Barnett still leading Dylan Simmons by 0.2 of a second. Dylan Simmons giving absolutely everything he can, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to overcome those fresher tires.
Not if Barnett does that. Makes contact on the exit of turn 2. Dylan Simmons reaches back out to the lead.
Dylan Simmons is going to lead by over a second. He's going through 3 and 4. He's going to come to the white flag. McCarty's going to come to the inside of Steve Barnett. He's going to get there. I don't know if he has enough time to make the pass, but here comes Dylan Simmons to take the white flag. 1 lap to go.
Dylan Simmons pushed his luck as much as he could to get past Barnett, and it has worked out spectacularly. 0.7 of a second separating him from second place, and Barnett is holding off Levi McCarty and Jake Ham as much as he can.
This race is not over yet. Steve Barnett has a run, and he's got draft help. Can Levi McCarty push Steve Barnett back up to the front? It's going to be Simmons by 0.6. I don't think it's going to be enough, but we'll have to see as they come into 3 and 4 for the final time. Look at the run by Steve Barnett.
Barnett did not lift at all, trying to make that run stick on the top to catch Simmons, but it's not going to happen. Dylan Simmons wins at Michigan, and Levi McCarty and Steve Barnett.
McCarty got Barnett for second. Holy cow.
1/1000th of a second. Levi McCarty over Steve Barnett for second place.
Unbelievable racing. Let's take a look again on the V-Speed Instant Replay. You can see there was contact there, and I think he got him. I don't know if we can slow that down at all, but holy cow, what a finish.
Barnett sent it down on the apron as a last-ditch effort to try and keep the 18 behind. Had to back out of it, otherwise he was in the wall. Just tore it all the way to the bottom on the apron, side by side, and I don't think there was a decal that you could put between those two to mark that line.
Absolutely not. Look at that. And we'll have to see what the effect that has on the points. Yeah, it looks like McCarty got him. Holy moly. We're going to need that commercial break to settle down from this.
Dylan Simmons burning it down on the Firekeepers start-finish line at Michigan. When we come back, we are going to have our unofficial race results and an interview with the top 3 finishers from tonight's race.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
And we are back at Michigan International Speedway in the Goat Locker Racing Lincoln Tech Foundation Series. Dylan Simmons able to pull off the win for the first leg of our O'Reilly Series segment here. Levi McCarty with officially 2 1,000ths of a second over Steve Barnett for third at the line. Jake Ham, after a great run, brings it home in fourth. Brock Price with a solid top 5 after running in the top 10 all day. Jason Kristen in 6th. Nate Cotilla in 7th. Daniel Parks in 8th. Sean Lobos brings it home in P9, and Charles Abert rounds out the top 10.
Bill Molfeld brought it home in the 911 car for an 11th place finish. Chuck Pegleg Feltz brought it home 12th. Jamie Lipke gets her lap back, gets back up to 13th. Kevin Price in 14th place. Daniel Cunningham back to 15th after some contact. 16th was Reno Connor. 17th, Gary Duff. Mark Barcelos and Matt Wiebers and Hayden Moore round out your top 20. 21st was DJ Patterson with Alan Smith in 22nd. Darren Price, 23rd. Joshua Unger, 24th. Nick Trussell in 25th. John Herman in 26th. And Chris Bargetzi, a rough short night, in 27th. Well, we're going to go back to Jake Lenke, who's with our winner.
Yes, I am currently with our race winner, Dylan Simmons. Is Jake Lenke in the booth? You got a copy?
I do.
14 laps led, and it only took the last 2 to seal it. Take us through that race for you.
It was a whole roller coaster. I knew I had a real fast car throughout practice. I stayed on top of the board, so I was pretty happy, content there. Same with qualifying. Took pole, felt like I was going to have a good race, and then going into turn 3 on that first lap, it flipped the script on me, and I had to write a new chapter in the race for that. Fought through the field again. I had a blast doing that, and then right there at the end, Steve gave me a run for my money, and he bounced off the wall 2 laps to go, and that was where the luck wore off.
Barnett came out of nowhere on that last run. He was one of the only cars that took tires on that last caution. It was 9 laps fresher tires than everybody in the field, and you still managed to keep a cool head and bring it home after everything that happened to you tonight. Who do you have to thank for putting you on the top step of the podium, sir?
I got my wife to thank for letting me race again tonight. I definitely got lucky there. We have everyone in the race, honestly. They were a great group. They're amazing to race with. Lincoln Tech for putting on the series, Save 22 for helping out the vets, and the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs and vets above the yellow line. All great groups. I love what they do. And you guys as well for putting on a great show.
Yes, sir. Congratulations on the win. Thank you for your time. We'll see you at Watkins Glen.
Thank you.
All right, I'm here with second place finisher Levi McCarty. Levi, wow, what a roller coaster of emotions there in that last run. Take us through how you managed to score the second place finish. My timing screen says it was 1 1,000th of a second. What did it look like in your car?
I thought I finished third until I parked it and it said second. So I was like, oh, cool. That was nice.
Well, you out-muscled him just a little bit there in about the last 25 feet, just enough to get ahead. Were you saving there in the last half of the race, trying to let Dylan Simmons and Jake Ham battle it out, and then you were just going to drive by him later? Or what was the strategy there?
Yeah, I felt like in the run before that, before we got the caution, like I was running first and Dylan was like running right behind me, and it was really upsetting the car, and I couldn't figure out how to get it settled in the corner and save the tire correctly. So I just was like, all right, I'll back up, and those two can battle it out, and then about 5 laps I'll make a run at it. But I did not see Steve coming into play with the tires there. He kind of threw a wrench into my plan, and I was kind of wishing that I pitted when he did, because I was thinking about it. But yeah, it was fun track combo, definitely a blast.
Well, nobody does it alone. Who do you have to thank for getting that Toyota Supra into second place tonight?
Jam Printing and Promotions. Appreciate Goat Locker for putting on the Foundation Series. V-Speed, Alexander PCs, Cruising Classics, and GTR Simulators.
All right, that's Levi McCarty, your second place finisher. Back to Jake.
And I am here, Steve Barnett. This is Jake Lenke in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, quite the roller coaster for you too, sir. A little bit of contact with the inside wall on one of those wrecks that happened later in the race, and that put you on the strategy that almost brought you the win. Take us through it.
I don't really have much to say. I know I just gave that win away. Hit the wall coming out of 4 there, or coming out of 2. Looked up in my mirror for maybe a second too long and couldn't correct it. Yeah, I went from the back to the front probably 4 times. One time I pitted. Pit crew didn't give me tires, so I had to come back around, get them. That put me at the back, and I just kept having to drive through. And that last strategy, taking tires there, I had to run all the way through the field again and just burn the tires off, get into the front, and I had it won. I just had to keep it out of the wall. I'm just not happy with it.
Well, you put together a very exciting race. I think we had our where did he come from moment when we watched you jump into frame when the last lap started ticking down before you ended up taking the lead. And you helped us put on quite a show tonight, sir. Who do you have to thank for putting you on the podium?
I just want to thank all the guys at Bandits Motorsports for telling me to jump in here to race tonight, and Daniel Cunningham for really talking me into it, and Hillbilly Custom Baits and everybody that puts on this Goat Locker stuff. This is my first race with you guys, and I'll probably be back for some more.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time. Great race tonight. Congrats on the top 3, and we will see you at Watkins Glen.
Yep, thank you.
Well, Corey, I heard that there were some good things to be said about the Foundation Series, and this did not disappoint in the slightest.
No, absolutely not. As somebody who gets to kind of just visit for a week or two and do the broadcast thing, I am so glad that I came here tonight. I'm looking at the schedule here. I'm looking at Watkins Glen, and I'm looking at Jason Kristen with a 7-point lead over Charles Abert. Still plenty of time for anything to happen. Levi McCarty closes, though. He is right behind Charles, 1 point. So that means he's only 8 points away from Jason Kristen's points lead here for a championship.
Inching ever closer. And we are halfway through our O'Reilly phase here, and Watkins Glen is next. Everybody is going to be wanting to get as much points as they can next week before we hit the Cup stage.
Yeah, there's going to be 2 types of people. There's going to be cautious people trying to just not blow their points lead, and there's going to be people who think that this is the week they can turn it all around. So I can't wait to see. If you're not doing anything next Thursday, make sure you are absolutely watching this.
And for everybody here at V-Speed, I'm Jacob Lanke, in with Corey and Skylar Daly in the production booth. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
Here we got restarts up we go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
this race, coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.